Hey guys, welcome to Logical. This is me, Hamad Anwar, and with me I have two very special guests. So,
My name is Kamran Kundi. I'm from Batch 1, Computer Science major.
So my name is Jahanzeb Arshad. I'm again from Batch 1 CS Security.
alright. So basically, these are part of our esteemed alumni, and we gathered them here today to have a special podcast with them and talk about their journey through GT and beyond. So before I begin, I would like so Kamran, could you give us a brief introduction about your life in GT?
Oh, life in GIKI. Spent 4 golden years of my life over here. This was 4 years in hostel. We were the only batch, at least during the first year. So there were a little more than 100 of us, and there were not a lot of facilities over here. Only the auditorium, one faculty building, the materials building, and hostel number 1, and I think the admin building, few faculty houses. So we were pampered quite a bit, I think. So we felt special as well, even at that time. So my time here was I had a very good experience. I have very good memories of GIKI Institute. I have spent time in hostels before, for example, Army Burn Hall College, but I don't have good memories of that. Like, it wasn't like a fun time, it was a stressful time for me. But in GIK Institute, there was good stress of studies, but it was tough, but it was just the community around you, all my class fellows, the faculty, was really an awesome experience.
Right, awesome. And what about you, Johnson?
So similar. One thing additional. So I spent 2 years after graduation here. So I was the one who initial Sun Microsystems की labs थी, Silicon Graphics की labs थी, और the first internet से जो है connection मेरे हाथ से लगा था. And that was 1997, 64 kilobits per second का internet connection जो है ना. So that was the first internet connection of this university. So खैर बहुत याद है उसको.
That's interesting. At that time, what was the situation of labs and everything at that time? Because I've heard like बहुत सारे labs अभी recently बने. उस टाइम क्या था?
उस वक्त जो है मेजर फंडिंग आई थी उसमें का वन ऑफ दी बेस्ट इक्विपमेंट सिलिकॉन ग्राफिक्स जो है 3D डिजाइनिंग का जो है ना वन ऑफ दी टॉप मोस्ट जो है हार्डवेयर एंड ओएस जो है सेम विद सन माइक्रोसिस्टम्स यानी कि जो बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं वो उसको अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकती. आई हैड लिटिल मैं जीआईके से ग्रेजुएट करने के बाद आई हैड लिटिल एक्सपीरियंस विद सन माइक्रोसिस्टम. सो आई वाज गिवन द टास्क कि आपने लैब्स सेटअप करनी है. सो आई एम नॉट श्योर उसके बाद क्या हुआ है, बट एट दैट टाइम वो अपने टाइम की जो है ना प्रीमियम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर था लैब्स में जो उसको हम मिल रहा था.
एंड व्हाट अबाउट यू? आपको क्या लगा था उस टाइम? किस तरह का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर था, किस तरह की चीजें थी, किस तरह का लाइफ है जीके में?
So I left after graduation, went to US, but my time here, we had first couple of years we had top-notch faculty. We had professors, who were selected from all over Pakistan to come and teach us, like maths and physics,
Even foreign faculty.
even foreign faculty. So that left a big impression on us, and the studies were very tough. Like, I remember a funny story, maybe not that funny. we were all top students. Right?
Wow.
Now, we had batchmates who were gold medalists from their board exams in intermediate, in FSC, and A levels. Three A's or A stars or whatever. Now, likewise, I was decent and never failed. Right? Forget about low score or low score. It never failed. Now we were taking the mathematics exam. I remember I read the whole examination paper, all the questions, and I realized that I don't know the answer of anything in it. And I had this realization that I'm gonna fail for the very first time in my life, right? And I had these tears coming out of my eyes. I'm not kidding, falling on my paper. And then Akbar, he passed away, may Allah give him Jannah. He was our gold medalist. So Akbar was sitting behind me, And he stood up, and I'm like, it was like halfway through, and I'm still sitting and like sobbing. And he stood up and said, I'm done. And look, what dude? Tell me something. Give me an answer. and I think he was having a tough time as well. So obviously, he couldn't help me at that time. So then after a bit, I realized maybe I can answer this part. So I got a C, but it was very tough. First 2 semesters were super tough for us. So we can talk about that because we came from an annual system to a semester system. So for a lot of kids, that's a shock. Because in annual system, you can relax and chill and work in last few days or weeks and still can do better. But in a semester system where you have to work and be keep track of the progress, keep up with it on daily basis. If you get sick, if you get left behind, it's gonna pile up very quickly. And you have weightage for assignments, for quizzes, for midterm, for final exam, for project. So you have to consider all of that. A lot of kids don't understand that part. So they get a big shock in the first semester or 2, and then they kind of recover after that.
Well, I'd say the fact that you talked about when you have so many people who are accomplished and very academically smart around you, you get to rest and you feel. I'm pretty sure it has happened to most of us where we have gone through a paper and it's been like, wait, what? I don't know what to answer. And so then we're just looking around to ask for help. So I feel like that's kind of common to like students in general. And also the stuff you mentioned about the annual system to semester. I feel like I personally, if I talk about myself, again, we are from annual system, we are doing A levels, and then we went to semester system, and we were like, we have to make sure that our academics are good from the very start till the end in order to have a good GPA. So I feel like that was a shock, but you get used to it over time.
Yeah, most definitely. So again, reiterating, so the advice is keep up, do the daily work on daily basis. If you don't understand a topic or you are sick, you have to skip a class or something, you gotta make up for it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's going to pile up.
Definitely.
So just to add to that, so that's actually life lesson. It's not just casual education. So once you get in practical life, this thing's scary. क्योंकि आपने काम करना है, आपने काम deliver करना है, आपने अपने results meet करने हैं. So this is something you cannot relax on. कि जी मैं जो होना साल के end पे जो है ना final year project बना के deliver कर दूँगा. This doesn't happen in.
So adding on to this, what's your opinion? Should students be prepared about this since the very beginning from education system? Like, for example, this annual system, should it exist or should it always have been semester systems? Because if this is like a life lesson, then shouldn't this already be implemented at our previous primary and high school?
It's more of annual systems. It's more of how do we counsel our kids ourselves, being parents, being even for teachers themselves. उनको जो है थोड़ा सा they need to prepare their kids, our kids, जिनको भी जो आपकी supervision में है, कि आज से काम है आपने आज deliver करना है. It's not if you put it for tomorrow, it never gets done. So these are kind of lessons. It's not just about the annual system or semester system or whatever. These are certain life lessons जो आप कह लो कि being parents or being seniors जो हैं, हमें अपने juniors को ये चीज़ guide करनी चाहिए कि यार you need to do this.
So I would add to that it's a matter of getting organized. Okay, so getting organized means how you can understand first of all what are the things that you need to take care of, what are your assigned tasks or responsibilities. Okay, and then you figure out how to prioritize them, because if there are too many of them and there is little time, you can do some of them. So which ones will you do? The highest priority things. So you need to do your responsibility or task identification, you need to do prioritization, and then you need to do scheduling, when you will do what. Okay, so what I'm talking about is basically, you can study it, it's called project management. Okay, so I think just getting organized is a matter of learning project management skills, which are, you have to get ready for work or school. You will say, hey, I have to wake up at this time. It takes me half an hour to take a shower and get ready and change clothes, and then take 15 minutes for breakfast, and 20 minutes drive or something. So you are doing this scheduling in your head. But if you get formally trained for it, like some kids don't get it. You know, they're not just tuned like that. One of my kids is like that. I have 6 kids, right? So the eldest one is very organized. The second one is like completely unorganized. So he can really benefit from just taking some informal project management type stuff. So it's actually one of the fundamental, I would say, life skill, project management. You can go into into deep areas as well if you want to, risk management, risk mitigation, cost, value analysis. Those are more advanced topics, but at least do fundamentals.
I really think that project management is really important because in any aspect of your career, because if you can't organize yourself with your work that you're doing, then you can't really succeed in that part. So I do agree with your project management part. Alright, so moving on from this, now that I've talked about your life in GIKI, I want to sort of understand about where you went beyond GIKI. What was your life after that like?
So I spent 2 years here in GIKI. Really fun time. वो जो स्टूडेंट बनने के बाद वाला वो जो पीरियड था ना, वो यहाँ पे बादशाह वाली जिंदगी गुजार रहे थे because we were in charge of labs and everything. After that, I joined Concepts Internet Services. At that time it was one of the premium ISPs of that time. खैर मेरा सारा कैरियर जो है वो अब इसी तरह टेलीकॉम इंटरनेट सर्विसेज और उसमें रहा है. Then I joined at that time micro broadband. Now we were the first one to launch broadband in Pakistan, fiber to the home in Pakistan. So I have been with them from the start. So I was one of the founding team members. So जो जितना infrastructure वहाँ पे लगा हुआ है, it's mostly जो है it's my design या my जो है मेरे हाथ की डिपार्टमेंट है वहाँ पे.
So what's your current role now?
So my current role is I am the VP of operations, and basically my responsibility is the core infrastructure, the cybersecurity, and the cloud infrastructure. So I'm looking after 3 domains in there.
That's really impressive, honestly. And what about you?
Here comes more impressive. When I after graduation, I went to US. So I had 2 elder brothers in US, Dallas, Texas, and I started working at Texas Instruments. So I worked there for 3 years, and I did my master's part-time from University of Texas, Dallas in software engineering. So I was doing development work basically. And then I moved to Silicon Valley, San Francisco. I joined a startup, and that ran for like a couple of years. Then it shut down. Then I joined another startup, and that was acquired by IBM in 2004. So I worked for IBM for 10 years. So in the end of 2013, I moved to Saudi Arabia. And last 10 years I spent in local Saudi IT company, which is now a very large company, more than maybe close to 3,000 people, providing, working on national level platforms and a lot of e-governance projects, public sector projects. So I'm a senior executive advisor to the VP of technology, so I'm CTO basically. Yeah.
So I'll get to you first. I wanted to sort of understand. So after GIKI, you sort of stayed in GIKI for 2 years too, and decided doing your masters.
Masters के लिए apply किया था, admission मिल गया था, but I had then different plan.
Okay.
So I didn't finish my
So you majorly focus on the telecommunication side of stuff.
Major was telecommunication.
I guess one question I want to ask both of you was, during this whole journey after GIKI, what was the major shock or major learning that you had? Like university में हम लोग यहाँ पे ऐसे थे, university से बाहर आए तो हमें ये पता चला कि कोई, what was the major thing that you guys learned? If you want to share.
Major thing learned
after you graduated, what was the shock that you guys had? कि university खत्म हो गया, real life, corporate life, something like this. Okay.
Practical life.
Practical life के बारे में.
So I don't think I suffered a shock, but one thing that I learned, which is very important, is your network. So I'll explain that. All of my jobs, all of them, I did not apply for that job. Somebody recommended me who knew me. My first job, my elder brother was at Texas Instruments. He recommended me. That's how I got it. I did interview and I passed all of those steps, but I was recommended by somebody. I did not apply over there. He forwarded my resume. Then another GIKI was in San Francisco, joined a startup which was a very hot startup at that time. And he said, hey, why don't you all come over here? And then he forwarded my resume, and that's how I got over there. When that company shut down, I had friends from that company who had already moved on to another startup, and they forwarded my profile over there. And the reason and then IBM acquired it, so IBM acquired it through acquisition. And in Saudi Arabia, another friend recommended me to the CEO because they were looking for a senior person with software engineering experience. I don't even know how to apply for jobs. Because when we were at GIKI, companies came over here and we submitted our resume, and that's how we got selected. So network is very, very critical. And my strongest network are the GIKI and batchmates. Okay, and other GIKIans as well. So if any GIKIan, like if you come to me and say, hey, I'm a GIKIan and I can help you, I will help you. And by this is how it goes, we have a connection. So you ask me, hey, can we do the interview? I said, yeah, why not, sure.
That's awesome.
So my life lesson was, I was a good engineer. Life was going good. लेकिन जैसे जैसे मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज बढ़ती जा रही थी, जो पहले बात हुई थी कि आई वाज बैड इन मैनेजमेंट, क्योंकि ओवर योर कैरियर यू प्रोग्रेस फ्रॉम एन इंजीनियर टू मैनेजर. You don't leave engineering, लेकिन then you are managing 2 people, then you are managing 10 people, then you are managing a whole department and so on. और फिर आपके पास प्रोक्योरमेंट की चीज़ें भी आती हैं, फिर आपने जो है ना वेंडर नेगोशिएशन भी करनी है, आपने इंजीनियरिंग के टास्क भी करने हैं. बट इनिशियली आई वाज बैड एट इट. देन आई लर्न, ऑफ कोर्स माय CEO हेल्प मी इन दैट, कि हाउ टू ऑर्गेनाइज माय सेल्फ. सो वो जो ट्रांजिशन है, दैट वाज सॉर्ट ऑफ क्योंकि आई स्ट्रगल्ड फॉर लिटिल व्हाइल इन दैट. बट ऑफ कोर्स विद सर्टेन गाइडेंस जो है ना, कि जो है ना हाउ टू डू गुड इन दैट रोल ऑल्सो. So I still do. मैं अभी भी हाथ से जो है ना बैठ के जो है I really like doing things by my own hand. But I still जो है ना, जो मेरी major responsibility है, that's to manage the teams, the infrastructure and everything. So वो जो है ना, you need to learn. जितना early सीख लेंगे, उतना आप जल्दी अपने career में जो है ना progress कर सकेंगे.
So I guess सबसे पहले आपका अवलोकन कि आपने बात की कि for the networking basically. So, how effective do you think these job fairs and stuff like this are? But do you think that people should focus more on their networking side of things instead of making their resumes all fancy and stuff like that?
So you should focus on both. I mean, other things as well. So resume is your first impression on somebody. Okay, it's your marketing tool. It's a reflection of you. If you don't do a good job in preparing your resume, you are doing, you're not doing a good service to yourself. You're hurting yourself. So we did, more than 10 years ago, I came here and did 1 or 2 workshops around resume building. And people mostly do a poor job in resume. And by the way, it's the same thing even in Saudi Arabia. I interview a lot of fresh graduates over there as well. So you need to, it's a reflection of you. People when they read your resume, they're building a mental picture of you in their head. And just like when you're reading a story, you have, you're imagining the story as well. Okay, there's a fighting scene or a war scene. The war is, you can imagine that in your head. Same thing when I read your resume, I'm building a mental picture of you. So it has to be very meaningful. Has to be, it has to show you properly. Okay, so a lot of mistake people make is, like for example, my advice is you should work really hard to build a very good resume. While you are doing that hard work, you will also are practicing, because they will look at your resume and will ask you questions. You're also practicing for the interview as well. If you write about your final year project, if you don't know, if I tell, hey, what's your final year project about?
can you explain it to me? A lot of time they are not able to explain it to me. Well, in your resume, the first couple of lines should be a layman general description of what is the project about, then how you guys solved it, and 2 lines, and then 2 lines about what you did exactly in it, because you were part of the team probably. So that's the general common sense thing to do. A lot of people don't know even how to talk about their final year project, but if you prepare it properly, you will be able to talk about it as well.
Just one thing to add, never lie on your resume. That gives a really bad. I mean, आप shortlist हो जाएंगे, लेकिन जब इंटरव्यू somebody comes up to me और वो जो मैं उससे सवाल पूछना शुरू करता हूँ, जो उन्होंने जिस नाम का, वो क्लियरली पता चल जाता है कि यार ये बंदा जो है ना, so this is not the right person for me. So never lie on your resume.
So be honest, know what you're doing,
Yes.
and also have a great network.
Yes. Of course, you need to build your skills. And आपने resume में skills डालनी है, तो आपकी skills अपनी build करनी है. That's what you should do, but never lie.
Yeah, so, but you gotta make sure that you are saying what you're supposed to say in it. You know, if you say it poorly, it's gonna reflect poorly on you, believe me. And by the way, I'll tell you another thing. A lot of fresh graduates, when we interview them, mostly they are like similar. Only very few of them stand out. You know who stands out? Who is the best? First of all, उनकी जो qualities होती हैं, they are better in communication than the others. They can talk clearly, they can understand things clearly, comprehension and expression उनका अच्छा होता है. दूसरा, they are confident. You know, even if they are not confident, they are enthusiastic. They say if you are not the smartest person in the room, if you are very enthusiastic, you will come out as the most the smartest person. Okay? To show enthusiasm, and prepare for it, basically.
So that was basically a question I was going to ask you, what makes a person stand out, so thank you for answering that. Right. So
Maybe he can also add something.
Sure.
So during interviews की बात हो रही है. So हम purposely जो है ना, we try to जो है ना confuse the जो interview आगे से आ रहा होता है, और हम सिर्फ एक चीज जज कर रहे होते हैं कि in a difficult situation वो कैसे behave करता है. ठीक है. So we know हम जानबूझ के पता है इसको नहीं पता होगा, but is he able to take a logical approach to solving a problem? बेशक आंसर गलत, it doesn't matter. One, that person is confident. ठीक है, वो उसका जो thought process है वो logical है. ठीक है, और जो है, और just a tip, if you are confused about some question, you can actually specifically ask, can I take a minute to answer this question? Go for it, but you need to be very clear. अगर नहीं आता तो ठीक है, you let it go. लेकिन कहते हैं ना, बॉन्गी नहीं मारे. ठीक है, वो जो है ना, वो that really जो है ना, वो आपके negative marks लगे. नहीं आता तो ठीक है, but if you can answer it logically, वो जो है ना, it gives you really positive marks.
And I'm noticing now, like people, most kids are not very social anymore. Even my own kids, we didn't have anything to do, so हम याद है बचपन में हमें टायर मिल जाता ना, तो हम टायर लेकर डंडा मार के उसको टायर को घुमा देते थे. We had to keep ourselves busy. We didn't have anything else to do. ठीक है, तो अब वो क्या है, बच्चों के पास ना गैजेट्स हैं, कंप्यूटर है, so it occupies them all of the time, so they don't have time to socialize even with their own families. So वो सारे ना introvert बन के निकल रहे हैं. अब वो इश्यू क्या होता है कि जो introvert है ना, वो यानी अगर वो यूनिवर्सिटी में ठीक हो जाए थोड़ा बहुत, वो social skills उसके बन जाए, when the guy appears in the interview, he comes out introvert as well. In corporate world, we don't like introverts that much. We like people who are expressive, who can explain things to us. वो लगता है कि वो dumb है otherwise. So you have to, may not be a dumb guy by the way, you might be very smart, but you may come across as a dumb guy. Just like I said, if you are enthusiastic, you are clear about your expression, यानी मुझे याद है, मैं US गया तो मैं वो टेक्सास इंस्ट्रूमेंट, जो मेरा पहला जॉब का इंटरव्यू हो रहा था ना, तो my elder brothers told me, in US you express yourself, just observe. If you watch US television shows or something, they will be interviewing a guy in the street. You will notice that Americans use their mouth quite a bit in talking. They use their mouth, open up their mouth quite a bit. So, our mouths are like almost shut when we are talking. and they are doing a lot of this. No, yeah, and like they're communicating with their gestures. So when I was sitting in the interview, I was like, yes, I was like, yeah, like, and my whole focus was like, I'm communicating, and while doing that, because it was unnatural for me at that time, I missed some of what he was actually saying. But that's the whole point, and you need to be in the moment. Can't be, show enthusiasm. You're young people.
I just want to add on to this before I ask the last question. You basically talked about people have become more introverted, and I feel like that's linked to the fact that technology has advanced so drastically in the last 30 years. Where we have all these smartphones, we have these VR gadgets, AR gadgets, we have these games and social media and stuff like that. And our education system so far has kind of remained similar, if not really that evolved. So, at this current stage, with your experience in the whole corporate system, what do you think should change in the education that we have right now? If there is anything that you would want to change. Looking at the people these days and how they have these technology and stuff like that.
Education में मैं अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एग्जाम्पल लेता हूँ. So we hire people और हमारा जो hiring process है वो we actually got inspired from armed forces. कि उनका जो हमें hiring process जो है ना, because that's one of the other than everything else, but one of the most functioning organization in Pakistan, है ना, जो सबसे better control. So what they do कि जो है ना उनका एक psychological profiling का test होता है. ठीक है, so whenever they hire you, so there's a profiling test, psychological profiling test. We actually do that. हम चीज़ जज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जो अगला बंदा है उसको नेगेटिव टेंडेंसीज तो नहीं है. Because being in corporate world, I'm in service industry में हमारे customers हैं, we have hundreds and thousands of customers, तो हमारे लिए ये चीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करती है. सेकंड चीज़ जो हम जज करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि उसमें पैशन है कि नहीं है काम डिलीवर करने का. ठीक है, तो these are very important things. Capability आप जज कर लेते हैं, आप कहते हैं यार इसने जो है ना मैट्रिक एफएससी या ए लेवल्स के अंदर इतने ग्रेड्स दिए हैं, जीपीएस का ये है, तो मोस्ट प्रोबब्ली ही हैज सर्टेन मेंटल कैपेबिलिटी और वो अपने डेवलप भी कर लेते हैं. नॉर्मली आप एजुकेशन सिस्टम से लोग आ रहे होते हैं, सो हम ऑनबोर्ड करने के बाद हमारी ऑलमोस्ट 2 months की जो है ना प्रॉपर क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग होती है, देन ऑन जॉब्स ट्रेनिंग. तो वो जो स्पेसिफिक स्किल्स है ना वो हम सिखा देते हैं. जो चीज़ हमें चाहिए होती है, वो जो लाइफ स्किल्स की बात है ना, वो जो है ना हमें अक्सर बच्चों में मिसिंग नजर आ रही होती है कि दे डोंट हैव द पैशन कि यार इंटरव्यू कैसे देना है, अगले बंदे से बात कैसे करनी है, सोशलाइजिंग कैसे करनी है, अपने आप को कन्वे कैसे करना है. सो वन थिंग आई थिंक मिसिंग इन एजुकेशन इज कि जो लाइफ स्किल्स है ना वो थोड़ी सी सिखानी चाहिए. प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट जिसका बात हो चुकी है कि वो आपको सिखानी चाहिए, आपको प्रेजेंटेशंस देना सिखानी चाहिए, आपको जो है ना कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स पे फोकस करना चाहिए. प्लस फिर ऑफ कोर्स जो हमें जो एक और चैलेंज आता है रियल लाइफ वर्ल्ड के अंदर कि 90% ऑफ द टाइम जो है ना हमारे पास अननोन प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही होती हैं. तो प्रॉब्लम हैंडलिंग, प्रॉब्लम मैनेजमेंट के हाउ डू यू सॉल्व अननोन प्रॉब्लम्स. ठीक है, तो हमारे जितने भी इंजीनियर्स हैं, ठीक है, जैसे हमारा भी है, आप आधे टाइम जो है ना नोन इश्यूज आप हैंडल कर रहे होते हो, बहुत दफ़ा आपको एक अननोन प्रॉब्लम आता है, वो फिर आप सर पकड़ के बैठे तो क्या हो जाता है, एंड द पर्सन जो है ना जो उस प्रॉब्लम को टाइमली सॉल्व कर लेता है, उसका सोल्यूशन ले आता है, and then make sure it gets fixed and your system remains stable and everything, फिर वो फिर progress के हिसाब से करते हैं. तो मेरे ख्याल में एजुकेशन में ना ये 2-3 चीज़ें बहुत ज़रूरी है. टेक्नोलॉजी की तो है ही है, इट्स नॉट कि टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं सिखानी चाहिए, बट आई वुड जस्ट लाइक कि जो है ना थोड़ा सा आपकी जो है ना सोशल स्किल्स, आपकी पीपल हैंडलिंग स्किल्स, आपकी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, आपकी राइटिंग स्किल्स, क्योंकि कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में ये बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करती है.
My advice to young kids is you have to build skills in your professional life when you go there. You gotta cover 4 areas. So one is, this is now Kamran and Kundi's theory, okay, of classification of knowledge.
That's supposed to be named now, Kamran and Jahanzeb.
So number 1 is technical skill, right? So this is what you get in, if you're a doctor, you will go to medical school to get that. If you want to be a programmer or a software engineer, you'll go to university for that. So you gotta have those skills, ठीक है, technical skills. दूसरा जो है ना वो हम लोग कहते हैं soft skills, जिनको ये कहते हैं, जिसका एक और term proper use कहते हैं leadership skills. You don't have to be leading people to have leadership skills. So what are those? Communication. Okay? Can you communicate? Presentation. Negotiation. Can you negotiate? Leading people. Situational leadership. How do you lead kids? Hey, Sonny, can you bring me some water? No, I'm watching TV. No, let me count. Let's see how fast you can go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the kid will run and because now you know how to lead him based on that situation. But if you do the same thing to your wife, go ahead, honey, I'll count, and she will pick up the chappal and say, "Pidai karegi tumhari ko." So theek hai. Or you do it to your parents or something. So pata lagega usko. So you do that based on the situation. The same thing, if you are leading a junior person versus you are leading a senior person, a completely different way of leading, right? You can lead your manager as well. He asks you for status. How do you provide him status based on his personality? If he's a detail-oriented guy, you will give him details. If he's not detail-oriented, you give him details, he'll get annoyed. Okay? So there are models for it. So the thing is, these are all different types of soft skills, and guess what? You can learn those. You don't have to be born with those. Okay? So you can go to YouTube. Now you have resources. When we were in GIKI, we didn't have internet. We didn't have the big library. We were built at the very last time. We didn't have enough books over there. We didn't have all of these free, Udemy and those kind of resources out there, LinkedIn, where we could get knowledge from, get skills from. Now, so, getting knowledge and learning things is very easy now. You have to use all of these resources. So what is the most important soft skill, leadership skill? Sense of responsibility. Okay, gotta be highly responsible people. You think about all the good leaders out there, they're highly responsible people. So technical skills, soft or leadership skills. Third one, project management. I consider that as a very important fourth fundamental area. Right? So learn project management. You can just go get the easiest 5-minute course on, quick primer on project management, then you can go into the details. And the fourth one is the domain where you're working on. So if you're a programmer but you're working in health sector, you gotta know health sector. If you're working in defense, you gotta know defense. If you're working in telecom company, you gotta know telecom. Right? So domain aapko pata honi chahiye. This is how I classify it. One last piece of advice before we, because we're almost reaching the end of time, is when you are young people, alhamdulillah, you're Muslims. Even if you're not Muslim, you're good human beings. You gotta choose the right industry and profession to work for. If you go into the wrong profession, then that livelihood that you're earning is either haram or just plain wrong. So, for example, they had an open house or something. Graduating students would come and the companies would have stalls in a US company. This was when the Iraq war happened. So they bombed with a plane. They bombed a big, huge area where there were a lot of families and kids. And that bomb was made by Lockheed Martin. So people would come, the students would come, and they would leave their resume in the basket in the Lockheed Martin stall, and then pick it up. Oh, sorry, you are the baby killers. So even the white man had that courage to not go to Lockheed Martin, although they would be paying very high salaries. So don't go to an industry where it would be haram, it would be against simple human decency. Okay? So go do good jobs, So, halal jobs or things that will benefit mankind. So have the right intention. Innamal a'malu binniyat. Actions are judged by intentions. So have the right intention. It's very, very critical.
Okay, so just one last suggestion for the interview specifically. हमारे पास बच्चे आते हैं और very bright, and everything, लेकिन they get confused. The reason they get confused is कि they're scared कि पता नहीं मेरे साथ क्या होगा. ये चीज़ याद रखिएगा कि risk वो ऊपर वाले अल्लाह ताला ने के साथ में देना है. जो बंदा सामने बैठा हुआ है ना, वो सिर्फ it's just a means. ठीक है, deliver वो ऊपर वाले ने करना है. So if you go in for an interview or job or किसी भी senior बंदे के पास आप जाते हैं, you need to have that faith. If you have that faith, फिर interview doesn't matter. जो हमारे पास 90% बच्चे जो very bright and everything, लेकिन जो फ्लंक कर जाता है ना, इस वजह से कैडेट गेट कंफ्यूज, ठीक है. जैसा मैंने पहले बात कहा, यू नीड टू बी, कम्युनिकेशन आपको अच्छी आनी चाहिए, बट यू नीड टू हैव कॉन्फिडेंस ऑल्सो. और कॉन्फिडेंस इस चीज़ पे आता है, यार जो अगला बंदा है ना, ये क्या है, नौकरी नहीं मिलेगी, क्या हो जाएगा, व्हाट्स द वर्स्ट दैट कैन हैपन, ठीक है. अल्लाह ताला ने मेरा एक रास्ता रखा हुआ है, रिस्क मेरा लिखा हुआ है, मुझे मिल गया है. सो दैट शुड बी द कॉन्फिडेंस विद यू. जब आप इंटरव्यू में जाएं, ठीक है, तो अगर आप इस कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ जा रहे हैं, फिर इंशाल्लाह सक्सेस इज विद यू.
So, very great points we learned about Sir Kamran's theory. So, hopefully we apply that. And I guess I just want to add one point to your sort of statement regarding we have so much information these days. I feel like there is this thing called information overload that we have these days, where there's too much information and people don't really know what to sort of take in. And there's also just one more thing which I feel like is sort of common in this generation, that we have these social medias with short form content, and people have become so addicted to these things that their attention span has become quite less compared to what people had previously.
It's a serious psychological issue.
Because of that, the learning from them has reduced severely. Even the fact that you have technologies like ChatGPT and stuff like that.
So you guys should practice, learn techniques how to wean off yourself from this addiction to social media. So a lot of people do this. They don't install any social media apps on their mobile phone. They only do that on their big screens, on their PCs. So you don't sit in front of your PC the whole day, right? But you have your phone the whole day. So if you don't have social media, you will not spend time on it. This is a very serious issue. It's causing a lot of problems in the society, even families. By the way, it's hurting. Those kids have, those people actually, even adults have. By the way, you're not kids anymore. You're adults. You're responsible for your actions. You hit puberty, you are now accountable according to Islam. And by the way, that was a very empowering thing. So people who had very bad childhoods, or they were raised as brigands, Abu Zar Ghafari radiallahu anhu. No, now you are Muslim and you are an adult. You are responsible. You need to think. It empowers you. It gives you a victor mindset instead of a victim mindset. You think, hey, yes, I'm accountable and I'll take charge of it. So take charge of things. You're young people. You have energy. Be passionate about things. Have passions. Learn about things. Learn about electric vehicles. Learn about how Elon Musk is running his company. Or learn about how, we have civil engineering here. I'm not a civil engineer, but I got interested in how do you do urban construction. Old houses were much natural to live in, much healthier to live in. Learn about health in general. Why everybody is becoming fat or sick as they get older. Why can't, my grandfather was 110 years old and he died of old age. He wasn't sick at all. The same thing with my grandmother, both my mother's side and my father's side. But now people are getting really sick. Well, what is the issue? Food change, environment change. Investigate. Because be curious and learn. Have a learning mindset and use the resources around you.
The best thing is to read books. Don't read books on your phone or on laptop. Read actual physical books. So leadership, there are some very good books जो बड़े authors हैं जिन्होंने अपनी books लिखी हुई हैं. एक है 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Do read that. इस तरह की माइकल डेल ने अपना जो है सक्सेस के ऊपर उसने लिखी हुई है. So 1 Minute Manager. So there are certain books which जो है ना let you succeed in life. उसको पढ़ें, phones में ना पढ़ें. So वो जो है ना habit को break करना है. Once you start reading those books, तो आपकी habit को जो है ना थोड़ी सी होना शुरू हो जाएगी.
And I will leave you with one phrase: self-directed behavior. You gotta direct yourself. There is no excuse for you to say, "Hey, मेरा professor अच्छा नहीं था, मेरी university अच्छी नहीं थी." No, you have a lot of resources. You need to self-direct yourself. Let me give you an example. There are individuals who need to be self-directed, and organizations need to be self-directed to be successful in this current digital age. So, what does it mean to say organization is self-directed? If you go to a team and tell them, "Hey, there are issues in your product, customers are facing serious issues," and you explain it to them, and they agree with you, and then you tell them, "Hey, please go ahead and fix it." Then they say, "Can you please go and talk to my manager? Because I can't do anything if my manager doesn't allow it." that means the management has not allowed the team to direct themselves, to make decisions of themselves. So you gotta direct yourself. You gotta have that discipline. Okay? Thank you very much.
Alright, so again we are short on time. So last question for both of you was where do you see GIKI in the future, within 5 years or 10 years, let's say?
So it's a difficult question. I've been involved with GIK Institute. I think what matters most is two things: the faculty, how we are able to attract the best faculty, and second, how we are able to attract the best students. Right? So now there's a lot of competition. So there are things that need to be done to improve both of these areas. Buildings, equipments don't make a big difference. That's something that you can buy, but gotta get the best faculty and the best students, because that's what makes, I think, education institutions successful.
So I feel like we will wrap things up over here because we are short on time. So thank you again, Sir Kamran and Jahanzeb for coming, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Love this.